Hello and welcome to the iRacing Le Mans series live on Apex Racing TV. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick and alongside me this evening is Sam Kumo and we are here at the legendary endurance circuit. It is Sebring in the depths of Florida, of course, for week 9 of the championship. And Sam, this is a proper legendary place. So many great races, of course, have been taken part around here, and this is as old school as you get. Just the track surface, the types of corners, the track widths as well in some of the areas. They don't make them like this anymore.
No, definitely, and I think this is also one of the classics in iRacing as well. I I really like this track. It's I think one of the first circuits that we had that really highlighted the surface detail that you get with the iRacing, and I think many of us also spent a lot of time here. I remember doing hundreds and hundreds of laps just to get my safety rating up for the first pro license.
Yeah, lots of corners around this place, so yeah, great opportunity to do that. And of course, 3 different classes here today: P1 cars, P2, also the GTEs as well. The drivers are currently putting in their qualifying lap times. 1 minute and 30 seconds to go until they have to finish their lap times. Ben Morton just got in line there. That's going to be his qualifying over, seemingly. Currently got Patrick Wolf at the head of the field. Alex Trainer leading the P2 cars. And then it's Mitchell de Jong, who's not a bad driver, safe to say, leading the way in the GTE class. Great to see a couple of big names in there. A few World GT drivers as well. Josh Thompson, Carl Janssen, also Jack Sedgwick and Sindre Setzer. So good to see those few drivers turning up as well. Of course, broadcast that on the iRacing Esports Network. But this is a bit of an unusual situation, I guess, because these drivers would have completed so many laps around here, particularly the GTE runners, after running the Sebring 12 hours earlier on in the championship. And so, around some circuits, I imagine it takes a little bit of a while to get warmed up, but around here, the majority of the drivers will straight away be right in the zone.
Yeah, it depends how well the Sebring race is still in the memory, and of course I don't think everyone here has participated in it, but it's one of those tracks that you kind of find the rhythm here, although you still need to kind of get the feel of, okay, where are the curves, where are the bumps, especially on the first and last corner, because in those you can really commit, but you just have to be careful with to not catch the bad bumps.
Yeah, that's one of the main features of this second to develop a setup which can deal with that, ever so difficult to do. The qualifying times are in, and so we'll go through the grid. And unfortunately, we've got a while to do this because it is a long formation lap round here. Visited Road America earlier on in the season. I think that is the longest, but this is not too far behind. So Patrick Wolf is on pole position by 1.1 seconds. Don't think there's, well, maybe he'll be the favourite for this one. It's difficult to say. 1.1 seconds faster than Ismail Yakubu, who outqualifies Matt Farrow. Farrow often, though, does struggle in qualifying, so don't count him out. It's ever so close between the drivers. Second down to sixth, separated by just 1/10 of a second. So that's Yakubu, Farrow, Kuzan, Andra, and Marcus Hamilton. Watch out for Hamilton as well. It's Mario Babik, Kevin Krosny, Sam Blackwood, Dimitri Linev and Ben Morton rounding out those drivers. And then in the P2s, Alex Jenner, who's been very strong qualifying recently, once again takes pole position. Tim Grieven starts in second place, Timo Hayden in third, Timo Tuika starts in fourth, and there's Jeremiah Morton, championship leader, of course, Marco Jaeger, Patrick Meyer, Calvin Fordont, Nicholas Magnol, and Loy Guiardo. Standing up those drives. And then in the GTEs, Mitchell de Jong, of course, the real-life global rallycross champion, I believe, and also a very good driver in the World Championship Grand Prix series and the Porsche series as well. He's joined alongside on the front row by Augustin Canapino. Then it's Valtteri Alander, Thomas Gibson, Robin Friskops, Sindre Setsas, Jack Sedgwick, Carl Janssen, Josh Thompson. Certainly watch out for him. JJ Nylander, Antti Terho, Sasha Engelhardt, Cedric Bolan, Giannis Shodakis, Andreas Joachimson, David Perez, and Yoni Hagner as well. 38 cars, so not too many cars around here, Sam. The splits, 3 of them, I believe, today, and so we didn't have a particularly big field in any of them. But I guess that's going to help the traffic situation. Also, the fact that there's not many Porsche, that there's not many GTE cars out there, also is going to help these LMP ones. Traffic shouldn't be as big an issue as we've seen in the previous.
No, I don't think so. The traffic, okay, you got few narrow places, but for the most part, it's very long circuits, and you have those very wide straights where you can get by. I think the challenges are really once we get through this first hairpin that is coming in a bit here, then we get to those very narrow corners. That's where I think the most incidents regarding traffic will be happening.
Yeah, definitely, because the P1s get so aggressive, you can imagine going into those sections, knowing that they've got to get ahead, don't want to lose too much time. Yeah, do you have a, do you think anyone's kind of sticks out in this LMP1 field, you'd say, Sam? Because Matt Farah, I think we ruled him out several times at Silverstone last time out, and yet he always seemed to be able to find his way back at the front. But Patrick Wolff on pole position by over a second, and of course a very competent driver in himself. Would you say that Patrick perhaps is the favourite today?
Definitely he had a good qualify lap, but also interesting fact was pointed out by Winter and the YouTube chat. Farrow and Hamilton are both running on Audis, whereas Wolff and Jacobi are on Porsche, so I'm not sure. Is there perhaps something with the Audis that would be great here? I don't know, but overall I think in Sebring the qualify laps are not necessarily representative of your race pace, because it is such a tight margins that if you can get the especially the last corner right, it can really make or break your qualify lap.
Yeah, Patrick obviously, yeah, absolutely nailing that one. And yeah, will be a fascinating battle ever so close between kind of the top 7 or so drivers in that class. Alex Trainer lining up on the front row of the grid as well. He's been very strong in qualifying recently, as Alex, Sam. But I think Road America, he got pole as well and led the first couple of laps and then had a bit of a mare, had a couple of spins to finish very near the back of the field. But there's no one, I'd say, there's no Johan Haaf, for example, who's perhaps a real rival to him. So maybe Alex could be favourite for that one. It's always difficult to tell, to be fair. And Jeremiah Morton as well, championship leader, and he's starting quite far down the field.
Yeah, well, fortunately for maybe Trainer or Morgan, there is not a huge amount of LMP2s here, so we got only 10 cars, and Gliardo has already decided perhaps start from the pits because he is not joining these guys taking the green flag.
So he's going to have to negotiate his way past the GTEs, I think, on the race start. So he's going to be a long way behind. Best luck to him for gets it. Oh, in fact, actually, his connection drops out, by the way. So he's just connected again. Hopefully, we will see him on circuit. Watch out for that one, but watch out at the front as well. Matt Farah has had some superb starts so far this season. How much energy will these drivers deploy on the run down to turn 1? It's Wolff on the pole position, and away we go for 1 hour of racing here at Sebring. And we could have a change of the lead straight away. Matt Farah, just as I said, going down the inside in his Audi, and he's going to take the lead straight away. Starting on the second row of the grid, hasn't stopped him, and he's straight away got past a couple of drivers. So fantastic start for him. Alex Trainer still leading the way in the LMP2 cars, currently ahead of Tim Grieven and Timo Hayden. So really no change at all there. Morton and Jaeger having a little bit of a battle, but that's pretty much it, to be fair. Jaeger just making that move. And also in the GTEs, Mitchell de Jong's got a good start, very close between Gibson and Canapino, and Gibson's had an awesome start there. He is up 2 places, I believe, in that class, so fantastic for him. He's got past Canapino and also Alander. Very good start as well for Janssen, not a good start for Friscox from 4th place on the field.
No, and I think Farrow on the LMP1, he really caught Wolff completely by surprise by the move on the main straight. But it seems like Farrow is not able to at least open up the gap much. Some problems with the Kusan.
Oh dear.
And also Grosny.
Well, Kuzan had a really
that
good
was Babik.
Yes. And he's managed to find the other circuit. The club circuit, not quite sure what it's called. But, oh dear, we've got, yeah, Kuzan still off the circuit. So, no faster repairs, of course, for these drivers. So, that's pretty much the end of their days. And after Silverstone, where we had all of the LMP1 drivers finishing within a minute of one another, it was quite remarkable, something that we've never seen before. Within one lap, we've already got 2 retirees, probably. Here we go, side by side between the leaders. Barry with the bets line, and he's doing a good job at the moment. Oh, defending against Wolf, who puts it down the inside. And Patrick Wolf there, that was very aggressive on his rival. And you can see how their fight team is really inviting the other drivers. Marcus Hampton up 3 places already. So very good start for him. Of course, he's a teammate to Matt Farah, so he will do whatever he can to get past Patrick Wolf. He's doing whatever he can to get past Matt Farah to the outside into the right-hander. And you can see Hampton really chomping at the bit at the moment. He really wants to make an impact on that lead battle.
Yeah, but I think he will be a bit more careful here. It's not really a track where you can go 3 wide in many of the places. Now we get into this very tight bit. It's gonna be difficult even 2 wide here. So maybe Hamilton will just hold back for a moment here and look for a chance in the straights perhaps.
Yeah, might be his best bet. Maybe just surprise as well, because the energy deployment is so important in these cars. I think it's 400 brake horsepower they can deploy on the front wheels. Momentarily makes the car a 4-wheel drive, of course, which also helps with the grip as well. And you can see Hamilton really very fast, and here he goes. He might even go for the lead. We've already seen a driver go from 3rd to 1st on the first corner. That was Matt Farah, and now Marcus Hamilton repeats the feat. He goes down the inside into Sunset Bend, and he is now the leader as we are about to complete lap 2 of this race. And you can see how close the top 5 are. Here comes Wolf, and trying to defend it. We're going to see 3 wide going into turn 1. This is superb action. Patrick Wolf, though, down the inside, and he now goes from 3rd to 1st in just a couple of corners. Going back at him, though, is Matt Farah once again, but Wolf has it covered, and the pole sitter, after a lot of tribulations, finally takes back that position, and Cyanja also gets past Hampton. Poor Hampton from 1st to 4th.
Yeah, that was multiple changes in the just 2 corners really. And I think Hamilton was excited for taking the lead just for a moment, but now back down to 7th. Let's take also look at what's happening in the GTEs, because it seems like the gaps are starting to open for the top 3, but behind them it's just all out.
Yeah, absolutely. De Jong pulling away from Gibson on that last lap was 1/10 faster, but Gibson, remember, starting in 4th place in this race. So considering that he got a fantastic start, he's been able to back that up really impressively in 2nd place, 1.5 seconds ahead of Augustin Canapino. He's pulled away a little bit from Carl Janssen. Carl Janssen of the reigning champion in the World GT Championship. Sindre Setsas is his teammate for sim racing, I believe they are. Not core motorsports. Of course, completely different. No confusion there whatsoever. But working well as a team. And also Jack Sedgwick, who's done a few BSR2C races as well over time. So plenty of Apex Racing TV regulars out there today. Canapino having to really hold back the rest of the field. See Janssen in that BMW, believed to be the strongest car. Would you say that it's the strongest car around here, Sam, due to the bumps, or maybe the Ferrari is the best? I'm not quite sure.
I mean, out of these cars, I just find the BMW the most stable, so I would definitely prefer BMW here. Just for the stability, especially at the high-speed corners where you can really get the car loose.
Well, here comes Janssen. Got decent straight line speed, this BMW as well. It hasn't got any major disadvantages to it. Ferrari struggles quite a bit in the high downforce corners, I believe. And he's really setting this one up nicely as Janssen. That's what you got to do down these final 2 straights. Can line it up going into Sunset and then launch the car out as they head on to lap 4. Not going to be too far away till the LMP1s catch and pass these drivers for the first time. Janssen will peer down the inside, but he really can't find a way through at the moment. And this is the part of the circuit where it's difficult to make a move. Side by side just behind, though, that is Setsas gets him past Alander. And Alander's going to lose another position. So disappointing for Alander. He had a really good start, but he's now lost out to Jack Sedgwick as well. So, well, Sedgwick at least has his nose ahead. Can he make that one stick? Alander is not going to give up this one easily. Hopefully, it will be respectable from the pair of them. And Sedgwick goes all the way around the outside, and Alander will do well not to lose a third position as the LMP1s. Yes, now coming through. Or is that just, no, that's just one. That's one of the back markers.
Yeah, I believe that was it Krosny?
Yeah, must be. So one of the LMP1s who had an issue earlier on, at least is running, unlike Kuzan and Babik. Also got Guiardo, unfortunately, having some connection issues. I don't think he's really going to be taking the rest of the race. At least he's 2 laps down already out there and doesn't seem to be driving. So disappointing about that. And Farah's really taking the lead.
Yeah, I believe that just happened here. They were really close, but again, Wolf is still within striking distance, so I don't think Faro has really lead all to himself right now, and I think Wolf agrees there.
Hamilton did well to get back past Anja, and here he goes. This is the straight that he likes, the straight that he likes to put down the power at least, so he'll make the move here. Question is, will he be able to hang on to it going into turn 1 on the next lap? The Audi is perceived to be the faster LMP1, I believe. Also in the pit stops, it requires less fuel, so expect the Audis to have about 5-second advantage during the pit stops, and just as I was saying, Hamilton can deploy the entry down the back straight, but you need to have a little bit left over for the pit straights, and at the moment he's not really leaving enough. And once again, Wolf back past. Probably not the most efficient driving this from these guys because they're putting down the power to overtake one another, not necessarily going the fastest they can, but it's thoroughly entertaining, and it's also keeping the likes of Anja and Yakubu in the mix as well.
Yeah, that was basically the repeat of what happened a lap or two ago with Hamilton overtaking Wolf on the back straight, and then Wolf taking the position back on the main straight.
I'm sure he'll go for it again on the next lap, Hamilton, until it pulls off for him. He's certainly looking like the second fastest driver out there as Matt Farah starts to make a bit of a gap. Now they are approaching the GTEs. So this is where things could get interesting. They are going to catch the GTEs in pretty much the first perfect place. They're going to have the 2 straights, the 2 widest parts of the circuit, to get past a lot of them, and this is where you really need to deploy a lot of the entry. It doesn't matter if you haven't got any left for the rest of the lap. It's all about just getting yourself track position, not getting held up. And look at this, Farah's gaps are absolutely perfect. He's going to have a clean run almost all the way through Sunset as well. Side by side between second and third, they go either way around the BMW. Slicing and dicing and into the wall goes Marcus Hamilton. He just gained up into second position, I believe, but a mistake negotiating the traffic, and Hamilton's day is going to come to a premature end.
Yeah, I think he got caught up by the slower LMP2 GTE, sorry. There was a spinning. Then got hit from behind. I believe that might have been a recovering GTE that just tapped him in the rear.
Yeah, really disappointing that, because Hamilton was really looking very quick, looked like he might be a match for his teammate today. So his teammate does lead Matt Farah with Patrick Wolf in second. That means that Syandra is up into the podium places. So not having all his own way, trying to get past the traffic. Of course, where you don't really want to deal with it, but it's mainly that kind of turn 2 all the way down to about turn 8, where you don't want to have to overtake too many cars. Yakubu doing a good job there. And when we see incidents like we just saw with Hamilton, Sam, it always boggles my mind how that doesn't happen more often, because that's so easy to do, where you just have a slight miscommunication between cars, and yet for 90% of these drivers, they don't get involved in these crashes. It's kind of controlled chaos constantly.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, okay, you really don't want to lose any time. So you think that, okay, you go in the mindset that just losing 1 second or 2 seconds is, you cannot afford that, but then if you then risk it and lose the whole race, then okay, maybe it would have been worth it, but it was a really tough place for Hamilton there. It's just a lot of GTE traffic and spinning cars, so it's just gonna happen. That's the nature of the multiclass racing, really.
Yeah, definitely hope you'll see him next week when, of course, we head to Le Mans for what is always the highlight of the season. Get some terrific drivers turning up for that, and you viewers tend to get a lot of view as well. Something about V8 supercars at Bathurst and Le Mans series at Le Mans always seems to bring out the viewers. We get some fantastic viewers, and we're having some good figures as well today. So thank you to everyone who's tuned in so far. Also, on the iRacing Esports Network, there's a raceball broadcast. Let's try to beat that, shall we? Let's try to keep a slightly higher viewership than that, because this race is extremely entertaining at the moment. Richard de Jong still leading the GTE class. Thomas Gibson in second place. Carl Janssen did get ahead of Canapino, as we saw earlier on. And then it's Setsas and Cedric holding back Alander currently. So Cedric managed to get that move done a few laps ago, but hasn't been able to pull away. And Alander now, who had a pretty good start and was running in third place for much of the early stages, I believe, now trying to exact his revenge. And you can see a couple of other drivers as well, very close behind Viscops and Josh Thompson. It's surprising to see Thompson a little bit further down the order, Sam, because he's won so many of these races. Whenever he turns up for these races, he's usually at the front. But of course, with Josh, it's he has so many different series. It's difficult to know whether he's been able to dedicate a lot of practice to them.
I think like this group here, it seems like they're maybe just stepping over each other and causing themselves time. And with Josh, yeah, definitely we usually see him overtaking quite rapidly in the series that we cover. But I also remember him like saying that he is working more on the consistency, because we used to see him having quite a few incidents that cost him plenty of championship chances there. So perhaps Josh is just working on the patience, being patient, looking for the opportunity here, and just being mindful of the multi-class situation here, because not only you need to be aware of what's in front, but also what's behind you, because there's some rapidly approaching LMP2s coming towards this back as well.
Yeah, and in the Porsche as well, maybe not the most fancy car. Certainly the loudest, though, so to say, in comparison to the BMW. But yeah, Josh also, of course, wants to keep his iRacing up, so is he going to do anything too rash out there? Canapino, very close to Setsas now. So Setsas for Core Sim Racing wants to hold back Canapino as long as possible, because he doesn't want Canapino to be able to get past Janssen as well, who's Setsas' teammate, of course. I think we just had an issue for Jeremiah Morton. I think he just got overtaken by Calvin Fraudens. I'm not 100% sure on that, but certainly Morton's
He
not
did
having
get
his own
overtaken,
way.
but were they even that close? Let's see, where is Morton? Ah, just a small slide there goes off the track. I think they just about avoid any contact there.
Well, Morton wasn't fantastically optimistic going into the Silverstone round 1 week ago. He said to us how he really wasn't very confident going in. But today, no word from him, but he is struggling a little bit in comparison. This is the driver who's won many rounds this season, and of course is the championship leader as well. But yeah, just having a tough time of it at the moment is the Australian. Ever so difficult for him as well, being an Australian with his ping, to not get caught up in any incidents. Quite remarkable. So he probably has to leave a little bit more space for lapping than other drivers, and he's going to have to leave a little bit of space for Calvin Fraudance, I think, here as well. Sunset Bend, of course, one of the worst corners to go for an overtake. Watson did think about it, go for the move into the second part, and Fraudance very wide and somehow keeps it out to the barrier. And just going on the bumps there, and very nearly a calamity there.
I think he was able to scare Ferrand off the track, but something's happened here with the GTEs because it looks like they've been just all over each other, and now Cedric is all off the track. So let's just take a quick look at what happened, because there were multiple position changes here. Oh, that was a loss of control. I think that might have been Alander.
Yeah. And it must have been Stetsas going into the back of Alander, who spun into Cedric, and now a couple of other drivers have got past as well. Oh, also Canapino as well was involved in that one.
Yeah, and he's involved in more incidents. And just get hit by there. Who was that? That was... sorry, that was Canapino and Bolen who got hit.
And it was Canapino, I guess, with the original spin, wasn't it? Not Alander.
Yeah. Also, Jodakis suffered from that and is back to the pits.
So all happening in the GTE class now. We'll try to have a little bit of a rundown of the drivers who got involved in that one. But so far the retirees, and there's been a few of them. Kiyado, who had connection issues before the race even started. Kuzan and Babik crashed into one another. David Perez, not quite sure what happened to him, nor Patrick Meyer. Marcus Hamilton crashed when getting past some traffic. And then Shordakis, Canapino, and Alander, all with big issues after that incident we saw just before. And
yeah, it seems like this week we are seeing much more issues with the drivers. I think last week you only had... Did we have only one or two not finishes?
Yeah, it was very... None in the LMP1, I certainly remember. And yeah, you're absolutely right, very few. Wide circuit, that Silverstone. But I heard from some of the drivers, I think during and just after the race, that they weren't impressed one bit with the driving standards. But whatever they were doing, well, it was kind of working well. They may have been getting close to one another, but they weren't crashing. Today, perhaps the opposite going on. And I did say earlier on how, oh, there's not many GTEs. It'll be fine with the incidents today. Could not be more wrong in hindsight. Robin Friscops had a poor start. Managed to avoid all that issues though. I think he dropped 3 places on the start. But he's now on the tail of Sinjay Setsas, who I think kind of triggered the whole incident that happened a couple of laps ago. So maybe a little bit of damage on his car as well. I think he'd be on the nose if he has got a bit of damage. And Thompson, we were saying how the consistency will pay off for him today. Well, he's gained a few places despite not making any overtakes really, and he's the one usually triggering those overtakes. Do you remember actually a fantastic meme, Tomps on, Tomps off, which was when he had a bit of a mare here in the World GT at Sebring. Terrific meme there. Check out more on our Facebook page, ApexRacingTV. No, and so I'm not sure if he likes this place a lot, but no, he's doing okay as it stands.
Yeah, it seems like he's definitely faster than the 2 drivers in front of him. He's just so easily able to catch up, but just then hanging back a little bit on the brakes. As we see the LMP1 lapping them.
Yes, the so the leaders will be coming soon through soon. Apologies, turning into Yoda there. It's not too much happening in the P2 field, hence why we haven't been showing it too much. So Alex Trainer leading the way. Oh, as teammate Hayden. Well, there you go. Cool upon that. He's just had an absolute mare of a couple of corners. He was running in 3rd position, I believe, was Hayden. I think he's just got stuck behind another driver. I don't think it's that much more. I think well, here he goes, down the inside. Okay, so this one's fine. Oh, and then there's a BMW, and he is fortunate there, Hayden, not to... Oh, well, he has now got a bit of contact with that BMW, and just the absolute worst. Had nothing to do with that incident whatsoever, but just couldn't get from underneath the BMW with drivers streaming past him on his right, and he's dropped from 3rd place behind Toika, behind Jaeger, and he's into 5th instead.
Yeah, it's a big car, so if that's sideways on the track, there's no way you're gonna avoid it.
Great luck, yeah.
Take a moment to take a look at the LMP1s, and it seems like Matt Farrow is almost running away from Patrick Wolff right now.
Hopefully we'll have a chat with Cyandra later on. He had a chat with us last week. And yeah, I think he had a very good race at Silverstone as well. He's 16 seconds off, and I was praising him, come very far. Well, at the moment, he's only 2 seconds, or 2.5 seconds off the lead. So doing even better is Anja, one of the most dedicated LMP1 drivers, I think, out in the field. And one of the most improved as well. So congratulations to him for improving quite so much. Usually keeps his nose clean as well, but of course this situation, not the easiest in the world whatsoever.
No, and here you have all the 3 classes mixing together, so this is, I think, the most precarious position to be in.
Anja doesn't get too held up, maybe lost a couple of tenths of a second to the leading pair, but no, still very much in touch there. 8 seconds ahead of Sam Blackwood. There it's Dimitri Linev and Ben Morton. There are the only LMP1 drivers who are running cleanly at the moment. Even Morton is quite distant at the moment. He is iRacing Morton. Is 2,700, so not bad by any means. But maybe a little bit inexperienced in this car. I don't think he's had any issues.
I mean, he's had, I think, few, but
Oh,
he's
really?
still running, so that's... I think that's still going well enough.
At this rate, you might gain a bit of iRacing with the amount of LMP1s that we've lost so far. 6th place, yeah, he will certainly gain a bit of iRacing for that, seeing that he's the lowest I-rated LMP1 driver.
Yep, he has already been to the pits. Pitted on lap 13.
So that was just now, actually, wasn't it?
Yeah, we're currently on lap 14, so yeah, that was right now.
Okay, so actually he's decently competitive. I was wondering why he was 7 seconds off the pace on that last lap. I thought he may have had a spin, but no, a pit stop. So actually, yeah, could be dangerous for perhaps a top 4 later on. That's getting a little bit tight with Carl Janssen holding back one of the LMP2s.
Yeah, there was really no room there.
Janssen's really caught up to Thomas Gibson in the past few laps. Gibson with a terrific start, went from 4th to 2nd in just the first couple of corners. Janssen also had a decent start, even better start. I think Janssen started this race in 6th position, something like that, and it's been absolutely electric at the moment. These guys, 6 seconds off Mitchell de Jong, kind of what we assumed. But Janssen keeping the 2nd place drive, very honest. But would you say this is an easy to overtake circuit, Sam, or one of the more difficult ones?
I found it one of the easier, especially if you are faster than the driver in front. But it can be very risky if you start pushing and trying to get the corner speeds out of the corners. You kind of really run the risk of getting wheel spin and spinning out. So yes, if you can set up a pass, it's very easy. There are many places that you can do it, but it's not the easiest place to really push hard. As we see, yes. Who was that pushing a bit too hard?
Yes, Big Ben. That's the American equivalent to Curva Grande. I see. I think that's a direct translation, and they're very similar corners. I don't know if that was deliberate or something, but of course, two of the oldest race circuits in the world. Certainly Monza is. Maybe this is a little bit younger. Who was that actually trying to get past? That was Toika?
Could have been.
No, or maybe Jager, Hayden. Oh, there you go, Jager. Yeah.
Yeah.
Always like to name and shame. Place
And by the
between
way,
leaders.
here is our battle for the lead.
Yeah. And Anja's joined this one as well, so I don't know what's happened to Farrow. Remember, Farrow just needs to be within 5 seconds of these guys, and he'll have a faster pit stop. 5 seconds faster it was at Silverstone, I believe. So one of the tricks of the alley, and that is pretty cool to have that that element. To be fair, Matt Farrow doesn't really need it on his side. He's he's fast enough anyway to win without any pit stop advantage, but he's having to defend into almost every single corner here against Patrick Wolf. Fantastic duel between these two, and it's pretty clear that there's nothing to split these two. Maybe Anja, difficult to tell what his pace is like. He's usually quite absent from these two, but credit to him, he's very much matching them at the moment.
Yeah, it seems like Faro is maybe holding them up, but the bit stop advantage is that, so I think Faro just needs to be able to defend. He has to really defend them, because it doesn't seem like he has quite the pace compared to Wolf. Although maybe he can match Andra, but right now I think Faro is just costing all of them time. But I don't think Andra at least minds that.
Here comes Anja. Will he go for a move? He's so far been very polite to Anja, and he's once again polite. I'm sure if Marcus Hamilton was in third place, we saw him go for the lead on a couple of occasions, doing absolutely everything he could to get in amongst the top two. Anja, I think, is probably just waiting behind. Here we go, though, side by side for the race lead. Farrow versus Wolf. And it's Farrow who's going to win out once again. Wolf just seems to have to go around the outside into every single one of these corners. Farrow defending the inside resolutely. And really nothing that second place driver can do at the moment. But no doubt that this is really helping Anja a lot. Even Sam Blackwood on that last lap was faster than these drivers down in fourth place.
Yeah, Wolf, I mean, it's costing them time because outside line to turn one, it's rarely going to work. Especially now that it's gonna get dirty, so you have very little grip there. And the inside line there is definitely the favorable line.
First and second in P2. I don't know, Sam, are you able to show the graphic where it like shows the last 5 laps and the loss and gain?
Let me see, do I have it?
Yes. I just think that would be quite appropriate in this situation because they've been quite evenly matched. Still 1.5 seconds between Chainor and Grieven. Toika was faster than them on that last lap, but he is 3.5 seconds behind. So Trainer's certainly not having his own way. At the moment, we're having a nice simmer. But it could erupt, this battle. Get very interesting near the end.
Oh, and speaking of eruption.
Oh dear.
That's Faro and Wolf.
Top two take each other out then into turn one. You were saying earlier on how outside into turn one isn't going to work. Well, whatever they were doing there, it hasn't worked again. And it's Anja leading the way in the P1 class. And he's really not done a whole lot, it's safe to say. He's just been waiting behind, has had very good pace for Anja. And Hamilton took himself out of the race. And now Wolf. Oh, well, this, I mean, avoidable, I would say that was. Sam, I think that was two drivers just being a bit too over-aggressive, really unnecessarily over-aggressive there, coming together down a straight.
Yeah, I mean, one is defending the inside line, another one is kind of I would say maybe trying to pinch. So, I mean, you kind of have to look before you move over, but it was a completely avoidable incident. But that really gifted the lead to Zayandra now. And I think the two of them, they do have some damage, and I'm very surprised if Pharaoh or Wolf can really keep up with the Zayandra at this point.
Of course, Wolf hit the wall. Pharaoh didn't hit the wall, but of course he did hit Wolf, quite obviously. So yeah, it could be a bit of damage on his car. Certainly Wolf is going to be in big trouble, and he's 6 seconds behind. There he goes into the pits, going to try to get a bit of the damage fixed, but yeah, there might be some quite serious damage on that one. Sam Blackwood then moves up into 3rd place. Dmitry Linev has already pitted, I assume. There he is. And Ben Morton has also pitted. So those guys are a bit absent. So Wolf should at least finish on the podium, but maybe his lead charge has come to an end.
Yeah, we don't know if he has some repairs that he absolutely has to make to keep the car drivable, but we will keep an eye on his pit stop. Right now he's been sitting there for 22 seconds, and it is already over what you would normally spend on a pit box. I think he's definitely taking some repairs.
Well, I mean, in the Norwich Liverpool match, I think there's been a few open goals already. 4-0 currently. I don't really need to say to which side. And Sai Andrew really has got an open goal on this race as it stands. Maybe it's going to be a little bit more difficult than that, to be fair. Matt Farrow is catching him a little bit, but no, still a fantastic opportunity for car number 25, Alex Trainer. 2.5 seconds ahead of Tim Cooper, so just edging out a little bit. 6/10 of a second faster on that last lap. The pit stops. As Matt Farrow now comes into the pits.
I can also report you that Wolf had that 53-second pit stop, whereas normal would be around 20 seconds, so he's basically losing the time of 2 pit stops there.
Jansen's got ahead of Gibson. So, after hounding him for many a lap, Carl Jansen moves up into 2nd position here at Sebring in the GTE class. Gibson still a solid 3rd place there, 6 seconds ahead of Jansen's teammate Sindre Setsas. This is how Jansen did it, going into turn 1, and it was a slight contact with the wall. And yeah, really puts him off there, and credit to Jansen. Took his opportunity, and yeah, very unique incident there, Sam. I remember, I think Martin Brundle always says around Monaco, you know, aim for the inside ball, you'll never hit it. Well, right there, Thomas Gibson did hit it, and it's cost him 2nd place.
And it is one of those things that you do multiple times during practice. So I think usually in the race you just leave extra half a meter there, just for safety, but I mean, you want to get close as possible to the inside wall, but of course that was maybe a bit too close.
Don't think he would have picked up too much damage from that one. If you hit it a bit harder than that, then a bit of steering damage can end your race. Of course, all the certainly the newer cars on iRacing will be steering damage sensitive. Just a small hit can really end your race. Still, Fiscops ahead of Thompson. Fiscops was very close to Setsas before, but they've just chopped off as this pair. Pit stops should be occurring relatively soon. Well, probably in the next 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, I would say 10 minutes for the GTEs and maybe, let's say, 7 or 5 minutes for the LMP2s. Trainer proves me wrong. That is the pit stop starting for the LMP2s, and it is everyone in.
Well, yeah. it's difficult to keep track. I'll give you that excuse. But no, here comes the P2s. So Jager now takes the lead. So struggled at Big Bend earlier on, which is the corner he's about to negotiate again. But well, regardless of that, he is in the race lead currently. So nicely done for Michael Jager, who we haven't seen on Apex Racing too much in the past. So we've seen much more of him, of course. So Trainer versus Greben, that's what we've got to watch out for. And in the pits, Greben, 3/100ths faster. Considering that he was 2.5 seconds behind, he needed a bit more than that in order to overhaul the difference. Calvin Fordont is also in the pits along with Jeremiah Morton. Fordont with a better pit stop there. And Morton's day really is struggling out there for some sorts of ease. I'm sure he'll be back on top form for Le Mans, but no, struggling quite a bit around this Sebring circuit, maybe with a little bit of damage he picked up earlier on. Hopefully we'll have a chat with him later on.
And he's right under attack by Timo Hayden, who did his pit stop, I believe, 1 lap or 2 earlier. Yes, he did on the lap 15. So that's 5 laps earlier for Hayden. I think he might have gotten better run with the traffic because he is now right up on Morton. At least I believe he was behind Morton before the pit stops.
I'm trying to remember. I've managed to forget. Yeah, I can't remember. There you go. But either way, it's Morton now ahead of Hayden, and Hayden had a very long pit stop. He had a 7-second longer pit stop. Maybe had some damage to face. I think he did get involved in a collision earlier on, did teammate Hayden. As they go past Josh Thompson, I assume that is. We'll try not to lose too much time. Marco Jager's now into the pits, and also Cyandra's into the pits as well. And just probably the one that we got to watch out for, because unlike Jager, he's got a very realistic chance here of hanging on to the lead. Matt Farrow, I was commending the Audi earlier on for having very quick pit stops. I think Farrow decided to take a longer pit stop just to get a bit of that damage fixed. Dmitry Linev with a 15-second pit stop earlier on. That's the fastest P1 pit stop. Farrow with a 23-second pit stop. He was 5 seconds behind. And Anja with an 8-second faster pit stop. And he should be well clear, should say Anja. Here he is. And look at that. Well, another couple of seconds, he would have been behind a bit of traffic. And so he's got clear air. And this day for Cyandra, it's getting better and better. Dropped down to P5, I believe, in the opening few corners. But he's now 16 seconds ahead of Matt Farrow. 15 seconds ahead of Matt Farrow. And Sam, this is looking a very tempting race victory for him now. Farrow's very quick, but so far today we've seen Anja be more than a match for him. And so 15 seconds to gain in the time we've got remaining is a mighty task.
Yeah, that is mighty task, especially considering Farrow is now approaching this huge pack of traffic, and maybe in a place that he wouldn't have liked to approach them, but you're just gonna have to deal with it.
I'm sure second place for Farrow, he won't be happy with it, but it could have been worse after spinning off going into turn 1 just a few laps ago. Patrick Wolf, the driver that he made contact with, down in 5th place at the moment. Dmitry Linev currently ahead of him by 12 seconds. Wolf on the last lap closed in though by just over a second, so he might be able to catch Linev by the end of the race. We'll certainly keep an eye out on that one. 12.5 seconds now the gap between those two drivers. After his pit stop, Marco Jager is in 4th place, so he was leading for a bit, back down into 4th place now. Long way ahead though of Calvin Fordont, and still 4.5 seconds behind Timo Toika. So really not really many battles going on at the moment in that class. We've got Trainer and Grieven out in the lead, separated by 2 seconds, and then we've got Morton and Hayden separated by 1.5 seconds. It's really pretty much it as it stands. Of course, now, Sam, the only drivers left to pit are Sam Blackwood in the P1s. He's been able to go a long way on fuel, and also all the GTEs as well.
Yeah, GTEs, there are a few battles going on right now, but I think for the most part it will stay as it is. I think the most interesting battle is here for the 10th place between Jokinsen, Hagner and Poland. Like between these guys, it's really gonna come down to the pit entry, pit exit, and the amount of fuel that they dare to take. If you can dare to take 5 liters less, then that's probably going to win you 2 positions here straight away.
I wonder if who's behind Hagner? Bolan. Wonder if Bolan's going to have to take a bit more. Oh, sorry. Sorry. I think Hagner might have to take a bit more fuel due to the fact that he's missing half of his car. Maybe not helping that Jag too much, so having to use a little bit more fuel. Not quite sure. But those BMWs, it's very convenient that half the car just drops off. I imagine they can probably just slots on a new front half of the car. No issues for Mitchell de Jong though, of course. He's still got all his car intact, and we've barely even seen him out there. But he's absolutely stayed very calm and collected. Carl Janssen into the pits, a little bit tight on the brakes. There was Thomas Gibson just behind, getting a bit of a wiggle on, going into the pits. But Janssen stationary, and Gibson is going to have a very quick pit stop to overhaul the driver currently sitting in second place. Pretty much all the GTEs coming in, only Sasha Engelhardt hasn't come into the pits yet. Are one of these drivers going to be able to stay out for an extra lap? Nope, they're all in together. And came pretty close on the brakes as well.
Let's see, do they all hit their pit box? Poland was really blinded through there, so that might actually cost him a few tons.
By the way, Sam Blackwood did pit in the P1s. He's now in third place. So looking very good for Sam Blackwood at the moment, and he's not that far behind Matt Farrow either, so having a terrific time of it. Hagner is ahead then of Bolan and Jokinson.
Yeah, I believe Jokinson was he lost those 2 positions there, I believe.
Yes.
So was it the pit stop time or was it the entry? Let's see. There was not a huge difference in the pit stop time, but I think that might have been just the entry. Because of course he was the first one on that back, so he really kind of set the braking points, and the other 2 guys behind him were able to just see how deep he's braking and match that.
Yeah, they're taking full advantage of it, so some changes of position down there in the midfield of the GTEs. Sasha Engelhardt is now into the pits, by the way. Also, very close between Thompson and Alander. I believe... also, Alander pitted really early, didn't he? Because he was in the wars, I think.
Yeah, that was on lap 9.
Yeah. And so Thompson just came into the pits and was only just ahead of Alander. Thompson has a remarkably quiet race, considering that he started off in the midfield. I don't think we've seen him make any overtakes so far today, but he's going to have to do a little bit of defending now. He was very close to Robin Fiscops earlier on in the race, but he's going to have to set his sights on his mirrors instead now. Who's that coming out of the pits? That's Engelhardt, and Engelhardt is almost alongside. He is alongside at the moment, about to be Alander. Alander, though, has the advantage. So they're so close between that trio. In the end, Engelhardt with a slightly better pit stop, but couldn't overhaul that difference, and so it's Thompson ahead of Alander, ahead of Engelhardt, with Sedgwick, who got caught up in some issues earlier on, only 3 seconds behind these guys. So certainly now a run to the race between these drivers. Once again, Engelhardt looking for the overtake on, and he's going to go for the dummy. That's very brave. Oh, and maybe wasn't the smartest either. He was trying to go for the dummy a couple of corners earlier, and that one was probably a gap that was always going to close. He's still going to take the position though. Islander will not be best pleased at all. But it's really cost them bad. Now Sedgwick and Nylander both get past Engelhardt and Alander. And here it was from Engelhardt. He gestures to the outside. Then I'm going to go to the inside. Well, was there contact there, Sam? It must have been very faint if there was.
Yeah, maybe there was small contact, but really what caused Engelhardt was clipping the curb and spinning on his own, really.
I think he realised his error about a couple of seconds after he commits to the move. Desperately trying to slow the car down, lock the brakes, and yeah, going on the curb as well. Spinning the car around, and well, this is going to be an interesting four-way battle to the end. Sedgwick, who's probably the fastest, to be fair, so he should be able to pull away from these guys. But Nylander, I think, hasn't got an advantage over Engelhardt and Alander. And Alander will be quite keen to pass Engelhardt, safe to say, after their instant just half a lap ago. They've got 16 seconds to Hagner behind these drivers, so they can race pretty hard to the end without too much fear that they'll get involved or that they'll lose any more positions. Sedgwick struggling to pull away, half a second ahead of Nylander currently. Out in the lead of the P1s, by the way. Cyanger still leading. He is 14 seconds ahead of Matt Farron. It's closing in on, I think, for me at least, would be the first time I've ever seen him win one of these races. And he's got enough speed. In fact, on that last lap, he was 2.5 seconds faster than Farron. No doubt some traffic playing a part in that. Sam Blackwood looks like he's going to finish in a comfortable third place, which would be terrific for him. One of the lower I-rated drivers out there, but well, he wouldn't get it by the positions currently. And it's Dmitry Linev, who is getting caught by Patrick Wolf. Wolf about 1.5 seconds a lap faster. He should have just enough time to catch up to Linev right at the end of the race, but it will be very marginal.
Yeah, speaking of iRacing, I'm really surprised because while Blackwood does have a very low iRating comparatively to the top split, Benjamin Morton is actually lower than him. He's at 2742, so that's 40 less. I think I'm kind of used to seeing Morton a bit higher up, so I'm surprised that his iRating is so low, relatively speaking.
Yes. Yeah, and then in the struggling a little bit then with that iRacing Morton. Well, so important, of course, if you want to get into the higher splits of these special events. You really need one driver on your team to have a terrific iRating to kind of drag the whole team up, and so it really does help these drivers. Really do need to reform that system. Don't want to spark an argument, to be honest. Although it's not really an argument because it is quite a consensus that really it should be a combined iRacing, but not too much change has been made over the years. Alander making more contact and going off the circuit there was one of the drivers just ahead. That was Nylander making a mistake in contact now with Alander. He is going to make that move though, is Alander. Although now more contact and round goes JJ Nylander. And well, that was pretty disappointing for him. Fortunately, no other cars coming, so he can do a 3-point turn on the straight. And he loses 2 positions in just a couple of corners.
Yeah, that was again very close, and I think kind of the stuff that we've seen so far this evening, just drivers coming together in maybe unnecessarily, really. So I don't know what it is about this track that seems to cause those kinds of incidents. Oh, and that is Timo Hayden also having issues here. He was in a battle with Jeremiah Morton.
So dropping behind Morton then is Hayden. Then, yeah, they're quite far behind Fraudulent at the moment. But, yeah, strange mistake there from Hayden. He was really close to Morton, as you can see now on the replay. But coming around this part of the lap, goes for a move. And just a bit of contact, and, yeah, not quite enough space given, I think, by either driver. Well, I say either driver. Probably Hayden squeezing a little bit on Watson there, from at least what I could see. But it's Hayden who drops down and now has got, so in fact, still only 2 seconds behind Jeremiah Watson. So that battle could be renewed with just 8 minutes to go.
Yeah, I think I might need to go back on my word saying that this is wide track and there shouldn't be huge issues with the contacts. This race is proving to be quite the opposite of that, really.
Of course, Le Mans is going to be the next round of this championship as Jochimsen gets past Hagner. Or tries to get past Hagner. At least here comes the P2 as well, getting past. So Jochimsen versus Hagner then. Can be ever so difficult to negotiate too wide around this part of the circuit, as we saw just a few moments ago. But they're doing a good job of it at the moment. Sticking his nose down the inside there is Hagner. And that's a very nice move. Past Jochimsen. And here comes Boland as well.
Yeah, I can guarantee that Hagner is not going to let Jokisen by. This is Finland versus Sweden, so he is not going to give that up, at least willingly.
Well, Jochimsen gets ahead for now, but you feel as though this battle isn't over quite yet. Seemingly no drag deficiencies, despite being in that slightly damaged BMW. Down the inside goes Hagner, and he comes back again. And that was a really nice move there from Hagner. Ever such a wide corner that turn one, difficult to defend round. But that was absolutely superb down the inside. Got the car stopped, and he remains ahead. Of course, Jochimsen was the one who got caught out in the pit stops, was the leader of this trio, dropped to the back, and has already got past Boland. Seems to be the fastest driver, but some really good defense there from the driver ahead in those few corners at the start of this lap. So I've got a little bit of time to get the overtake complete. Morton and Hayden is very close. We'll try to come back to this battle if there is a move, but currently just 0.2 of a second. Oh, sorry, it's not 0.2 of a second. It was showing 0.2 of a second. Instead, it's 1 second. Hayden is faster, as we see side by side again. Jochimsen trying the same move that he almost pulled off on the last lap, but Hagner, fantastic pace around the outside. And coming to the end of this lap 28, he's doing a very good job. Going into Sunset Bend, this is where we can see incidents often. Not much runoff whatsoever around this part of the circuit. And down the inside goes Jochimsen, and that was a little bit more easy, but he's very deep on the brakes seemingly. Misjudges his line. And back comes the Hagner. That's going to be Boland with a slipstream on these guys. Will he be able to make an impact going into turn one? Don't think he is going to be able to. It's going to be Hagner on the outside, Jochimsen on the inside. I think it's going to be Jochimsen with the better line, but Hagner, as Sam was saying, doesn't want to give this one up easily. Finally, though, stays behind, and good defense there from Jochimsen, and he stays ahead. So lap 29, and he's finally back at the head of this trio.
Yeah, Jochimsen he seems like he is faster, but maybe a little bit more passive with the overtakes. Whereas Hagner is able to just make up for the pace difference just by really sending it in the corners.
Yeah, he's not holding back by any means. Whenever there's an opportunity to go for the move, he's certainly taking it. But you can see he's now starting to chop off his rival. And it's Cedric Boland now next up on the list. Not much of a breaking point this for the GT, so can carry so much speed, but needs to break a little bit more than that. Did Hagner, if he wanted to take a fast racing line there, because Boland gets really close to narrow this part of the circuit. This the closest battle going on out on track at the moment. Really no other driver separated by less than a second. It doesn't look like Boland's going to be able to make a move on lap 29 at least, but he's going to have a decent run going into turn 1. Just a little bit of an update on the LMP1s, by the way. Cyan just still leading the way, 13 seconds ahead of Matt Farris, so that one looks like a done deal. Patrick Wolf failed to really close in on Dmitry Linev too much. That was the battle for P4. So that LMP1 field very static at the moment, as one of them just skates down the inside. I think that may have been Matt Farris. And still Alex Trainer just over a second ahead of Tim Grieven at the head of the P2 class. And everyone else in that separates by quite a distance. So he has some extremely close battles earlier on. Has spread out as the event has passed. But still got this nice trio to take us to the end, of course. Once again, Le Mans next week. Do not want to miss that one. And yeah, tend to have some heavy hitters around for that round of the season. As once again, here comes Boland. Seemingly not putting up as big a fight this time in his rival, but no, round the outside, I was completely wrong. Fantastic pace there from Joni Hagner. And he's doing everything he can to hang on to that pace. You can see how far ahead Jochimsen has already got of these drivers. But some terrific racecraft, I'd say, right now, Sam, from Joni Hagner.
Yeah, from both of them, and Poland just completely catches him by surprise, driving the inside, but just wasn't able to really hold on to it, and Hagner was able to just keep ahead. Also, these two are really lucky that this is not a night race.
Yes. Yes, this is a morning race. As down the inside goes Boland. And he is going to get that move, but yeah, Hagner's pretty good into that turn 1, so he might be able to come back. This is a morning race, you would have seen, I'm sure. It has got lighter. We don't usually have morning races, we usually have evening races, where it gets a bit darker as time goes by. But no, it's brightening up quite a bit since the start of this event, as Boland makes that move stick then. So unless the P2 influences this battle a bit, I think he's going to have this one done. Almost contact between the two of them. There is contact, and that's a great disappointment because they're really having a nice battle there, and getting disqualified as well, seemingly, is Cedric Boland. And that's ever so disappointing, Sam, because that one was going to go down to this final lap. But yeah, just a bit aggressive maybe that time from Hagner, I think.
Yeah, it was just basically the kind of racing that we've seen following them for the past few laps. And it's not really surprised that the incident limit was going to be a problem there. With the 4Xs from the car contacts, you just can't really keep doing that for so long. As we follow Sandra coming through the final bend here and taking the win.
Yes, this is going to be a terrific win for Cyandra. He picked up the pieces, but he also had terrific pace today. He wins the overall and the P1 classes here at Sebring. Congratulations to Cyandra, one of the biggest official wins I imagine he's had in his iRacing career. In the P2s, Alex Train is going to be as a while away. Also, GTEs as a while away. Patrick Wolf, I was writing him off earlier on. He wasn't going to catch Dmitry Linev. well, you can see for yourself, it's very close now. Here comes Wolf. Has he got a bit more energy to deploy? Linev going right to the inside of the circuit. They're going to do absolutely everything they can. Round the outside goes Patrick Wolf, going into Sunset Bend for the very last time. They could have a crash here and probably still crawl themselves to the line. Linev's going to go down the inside, and they are going to have a crash. Wolf goes off into the wall for the second time today, and Dmitry Linev, well, um, maybe probably without controversy, oh sorry, with controversy, takes that fourth place. Patrick Wolf in fifth. A bit of a difficult day for Wolf, who perhaps had the pace to win today. Alex Trainer, though, he's had comfortably enough pace to win today. He's going to beat Tim Grieven to the line, ever so close between those two, 2 seconds across. But never really went wheel to wheel, unfortunately, did those two drivers. But still, really intense battle between the pair of them. And in the GTEs, I think undoubtedly the favourite for this race, Mitchell de Jong, the pro driver, of course. He's going to round Sunset Bend, and he's going to win in the GTE class in his BMW M8. Congratulations to Mitchell de Jong. Carl Janssen, what a drive this has been from him. I think he started down in 6th place out of the GTEs, but he's going to finish in 2nd place, and a very comfortable 2nd place in the end. He pulled away a lot from Thomas Gibson, de Jong and Janssen, completing 1 extra lap compared to all the other GTEs out there. And so I think we can go through our final standings. In fact, I'll just say who was close to the instant limits. Alander, by the way, was on 16. So he was pretty close. Of course, Boland did get disqualified, and he was actually on 17. So he was on 13 going into that, but then a 4x seemingly. And also, Timo Hayden got disqualified as well, and also Kevin Crosman as well. So, yeah, the results. And it was Cyanja winning, 10 seconds ahead of Matt Farrow. And there was a whole lot more to that race than would appear on the live on the timing screens. Farrow picking up some damage after a collision with Patrick Wolf. Had a long pit stop, and that really ruined his chance. Sam Blackwood, a terrific 3rd place. Dimitri Lim just about beats Patrick Wolf. He had a very long pit stop after picking up damage earlier on. Ben Morton finishes on the lead lap in 6th place. Alex Trainer won out in the P2 class ahead of Tim Grieven. And then it's Timo Troika in 3rd place. Marco Jager in... Troika in 3rd place. Jager in 4th. Then there's Fordunt, Morton, who seemed to struggle a little bit out there today, and Magnol. The Tyrese were Hayden, who got disqualified, of course. Meyer, and also Guayada, who never took the start. I'll tell you some connection issues or maybe some hardware issues, not quite sure. In the GTEs, Mitchell de Jong won out just ahead of Carl Janssen. There's Thomas Gibson, Sunjay Setsas, Robin Fiscops, Josh Thompson, Jack Sedgwick, Sasha Engelhardt, Valtteri Alander, JJ Nylander, Andreas Joachimsen, Joni Hagner, Antti Terho, Cedric Boland, Augustin Canapino, Giannis Shodakis, and also David Perez as well. Perez did, of course, retire loss along with Canapino and Shodakis. So, interviews. Sometimes we have interviews with drivers, and terrific news, we've got Cyanja with us, and we were really hoping that we'd have an interview with Cy, because congratulations. I was complimenting on you finishing within 16 seconds of the leader last week, but today you've knocked it out of the park. You've won, and yeah, just congratulations.
Thank you. I mean, that was a hectic first 20 minutes of the race. My eyes hurt, my hands hurt right now, so I'm probably gonna go take a nice cold bath after this. But yeah, I mean, I didn't push it too much. Of course, I made some moves on Hamilton when I had the chance, but between Farrow and Wolf, I kind of sat back a little bit, kept my battery up in case I needed to capitalize on anything. But the opportunity presented itself. I made sure I wasn't in the wreck and just drove it home.
Absolutely. Did you feel as though an incident like that was coming? Did you think that those two were getting progressively more aggressive between one another, because they were battling along for probably, yeah, like you said, the first 20 minutes of the race?
Oh, absolutely. I think it was only a matter of time. I know Farrow picked up a tiny bit of damage from a GTE, and I know that was compromising his speed a tiny bit, but I knew it wasn't enough for Wolf to get past. So I knew he would be defending for all he was worth. And the moment I saw them stay all the way to the wall on the left on the start-finish straight, I knew something was about to happen. Because these cars, the visibility isn't great to begin with, but if you're putting yourself all the way to the other side of the racing line, that opens you up for some shenanigans. Well, we all saw what happened.
Yeah, definitely. But of course, it wasn't just due to that incident that you won today. You also had terrific pace. Without that pace, no doubt you wouldn't have finished on the top step of the podium. So, is this Sebring circuit just really strong for you, or yeah, really one of your strongest races ever? I think, as far as I can recall.
Pace-wise, I would say, yeah, this is the strongest race I've ever had. I think I was keeping up with Farrell, Wolf, and Hamilton, and those are really fast guys, and that gives me a lot of hope for the coming league seasons. I think it's mainly because Sebring is a good track for me, and I think I knocked the setup out of the park today with the help of my teammates. Unfortunately, Ismail couldn't finish, but when Ismail was behind me, he was stuck to my bumper pretty much the entire first 20 minutes. So I think if I hadn't won, he would have.
Yeah, and of course, he got on the front row of the grid as well. So, really impressive from you two guys today. Next up is Le Mans, and we often have some pretty fast drivers again turning up for that. But to be fair, you don't get much bigger than the drivers that you beat today. So you must be feeling quite confident going into that.
Confident, but at the same time a little bit nervous. The Audi setup we have is untested in races, so it's kind of just let's see what happens. And I think everybody's going to be in the Audi just because of what happened at the official 24 hours. So obviously Coanda and Nirvana figured something out, and everybody else has been trying to play catch up ever since. And this race will show who figured it out and who didn't.
Absolutely. Well, we wish you the best of luck for that one, Cyan. Is there anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Ismail, obviously, great teammate. He was just keeping the pressure on a little bit, but he wasn't being silly about it. He was just there to pick up the pieces if anything happened to me. And the whole satellite team, I know I wasn't wearing the skin today because I forgot to change it, but the whole satellite racing team helped me put the setup together, did testing all week leading up to this, so thanks to all of them.
Thanks for having a chat with us, Cy, and congratulations once again on your race win today.
Thank you, I'll see you at Le Mans.
So I think that'll be all the interviews that we'll complete today. But yeah, once again, Le Mans next week. No, you don't want to miss that one whatsoever on Apex Racing TV, whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. And so we certainly hope to see you back then, of course. Tomorrow, we've got the Sim Racers Asia series, I assume. And also we've got the UV8s as well, which is always an awesome championship to cover. So hopefully you'll join us for that one. That'll be tomorrow evening. And then on Sunday, we'll have the Aussie Mixed and Fixed. And also on the evening on Sunday, we'll have the inaugural round of the Apex Racing League British GT Championship. Sign up still open for that one. So if you feel like dabbling in some GT3s or some Porsches, certainly fill out or go onto our Facebook page. All entry details are pinned to the top of our page. Fill out them, and we'll see you on the grid for Sunday. Or, of course, just watch it. Of course, it'll be some terrific racing. Got some 60 drivers signed up for that one, so it should be quite an event. And of course, there's plenty of other series as well covering on Apex Racing TV over the next week or so. A couple of BSR leagues, of course, and also keep an eye out on the iRacing Esports Network as well for our coverage of the BSR MX5 Pro Series and the World GT Championship as well. Oh well, you know what? He's a real pain. Is this guy? It's only Josh Thompson. He's absolutely ruined my outro. Not pleased whatsoever. Good evening, Josh. Yeah, how was that race for you? You were. It was a very quiet race, considering that you're in the midfield. We usually see kind of going all the way up through the field, but despite maybe not pulling off a whole lot of overtakes, it was still a good result.
Yeah, it was just a mind your own business race, to be honest. Qualifying, I flopped it. Could have been like top 3 on the grid where the Porsche should have been. So obviously the Porsche is not the best car for the first 10 to 12 laps of a race. So I just had to hang in there. but I just couldn't get through. I just got stuck behind Robin for a bit and just started getting into the same rhythm he was. So you make a mistake here, then you'd get traffic involved. So it was just a bit of a, steady away race. Couldn't really do much, but to walk away P6 in a 6.9k SOF against people with like the pro setups and stuff like that, can't really complain.
Absolutely. We saw a lot of incidents today between drivers. It seemed to all get a bit messy because we're seeing this series so far this season. I'd say it's been very clean, but today we had a lot of retirements and a lot of interclass contact, a lot of contact just between drivers racing for position. Would you agree that the drivers were quite aggressive today?
Yeah, 100%. I think Sebring kind of falls into that category as well. We're being such a tight track. Traffic management here is always going to be tough, no matter what class. And obviously, then you got to think about people racing position. So, for GT instance, there was all of us in a massive line, but it's going to all cause an incident eventually into the hairpins where your main overtaking opportunity is. Or it takes one person to tap someone and mayhem begins, as you saw. I think it was like lap 9 into the hairpin. The incident what happened in the GTEs was a big one. It's going to happen eventually.
Yeah, it was disappointing to see that because it, certainly separated the drivers quite a bit. Next week we head to Le Mans. Are we going to see you at Le Mans next week? And how confident are you about it if you are going to turn up for next week?
Yeah, I will be. So that's a good start for you.
Yes.
And I think Le Mans will be better for me, 100%. I've done a lot more there. I struggled, obviously, not really choosing the BMW because obviously the pro thing's over for me now. So I just went with the outsider, with the Porsche. Whereas at Le Mans, everyone's in the same car and everyone being the Ferrari and everyone be using the 24-hour stuff there. It'll probably be the same weather, like hot. It'll be quite hot, I think. So, yeah, I know the set I had for the 24 was quite good. So hopefully it can, go a bit preferably good this time.
And will we see you in the World GT as well next week?
Yeah, yeah. Don't worry. I've not disappeared off the face of the earth. Nah, I'll be there.
Absolutely, and sure you'll back up your Snetterton win from earlier on in the season as well. We wish you the best of luck for that one, Josh. And is there anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, so you guys to the broadcasting, great as always. Thank you for doing it. Craig Setup Shop, obviously providing me setup this week. Go to give a massive shout out to Craig as well, giving me a hand just before the race, sorting the qualifying setup out because I was struggling with that. Shame I couldn't, put it somewhere close to the front. And probably the biggest one to Fraser Williamson. He sat and spotted the entire race for me, and I really didn't need in that race because it was a bit tense at times.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Josh, for having a chat with us, and we'll see you very soon on Apex Racing TV.
Yeah, guys.
So that really does round out our interviews, I'm sure, unless someone else pops in. So yeah, hopefully you'll join us for next week in the iRacing Le Mans series at Le Mans. And we'll see you then. So from me and from Sam as well, we'll say goodbye and we'll see you next time.